Caldwell, and today I will be explaining Group 12's project. The title of our production will be called Hrotsvitha. Okay, so these were our different roles. Connor did dramaturgy, I did set, director of photography, Aubrey did casting director, Taylor was costumes, Alfredo did marketing, Echo was the director/producer, and Maria was the location manager. So this was written by Echo, and their link is right here, and here's a summarized breakdown of our script and cinematic narrative, so you can click on that if you want to see it. As a team, we have sought to capture the essence of Hrotsvitha as she lived and her influence after her passing. We highlight her divine mission from God to create works of writing to inspire the many followers of Catholicism that look up to her. We have also made sure to encapsulate her hardship and dedication towards her faith. Hrotsvitha devoted her life to this work, and her narrative will aim to honor her. So this is the research that Connor did. Hrotsvitha, renowned as Germany's first female playwright and poet, was born in 935. Her name has been forever tied to her birthplace, as she is referred by her title, Hrotsvitha of Gandersheim. Here in Gandersheim, Hrotsvitha was born into nobility, allowing her a comfortable life inside the church. And here's a link if you want to see more of that. So this is more of the research continued. Hrotsvitha prayed and studied as a nun, swearing vows in the name of Catholicism. Her involvement in her religious studies as a nun later influenced her poetry and works of drama. Hrotsvitha's works all contained Catholic religious themes, indicating her deep connection to her faith. And this is a picture of some nuns learning. So this is some more information about her. Germany was working under a feudalist system of government, meaning that landowners would hold power over small fiefdoms, creating a working class and the nobility. Hrotsvitha was born into the Gandersheim fiefdom as a noblewoman. This luxury afforded her a chance to enter the nunnery inside of the Catholic Church. Most women during this time would never have the opportunity to read or write. Hrotsvitha's dedication to her faith has granted her a place as one of history's first female writers. The peasantry during this time looked to their church for guidance. Hrotsvitha was able to provide that through her service to God and her people. So this is Act 1 breakdown. There's kind of a lot here, but it's her growing up, her being born in the church with her mom and her dad, and really starting her religious journey from a young age. So the major characters would be Hrotsvitha, her parents, God, Jesus, and a priest. And so the major locations would be the church and her home. So this is what I drew for the shots. So we would start with a shot of her house, and then her in her family being born with her mom and her dad, and then also we would have a long shot of her with her parents walking to the church. So this would be continuing Act 1, Hrotsvitha walking into the church, and like showing the inside of what the church would look like with the altar and things. And then the next scene would be Hrotsvitha enjoying church and gaining a relationship with God through the priest. Continuing on, there will be a montage of her growing up in the church and her getting older, going from baby, toddler, and getting to her teenage years. And then there will be a full shot of Hrotsvitha and the priest learning about her religion. So this is Act 2 breakdown. We're going to continue on her journey. She is becoming a nun, and she is still following her religion. And so we would have the same major characters, and we would have locations outside of her home, and still the church. So these are my shots. Oops. Okay. So we're going to have Hrotsvitha is kneeling at the altar, asking God to become a nun. So she's still at the church, and she's praying a lot. And then the priest will come to her home and tell her that she can become a nun, and her mom and dad will be there proud of her. This is Act 3 breakdown. So this will be her continuing to be a nun in her journey, and then she will meet Terrence, and his ghost will be there, and she gets inspiration from him, and that's where she begins her journey, her writing journey, and then also at the end she will die and her works will continue on. So the same major characters, and we'll have the locations inside the church, the library, and outside that area. So here are the shots. Hrotsvitha meets the other nuns, and so there will be a shot of her talking to her. And then she sees Terrence in the library, and it's a shocking experience. And then we have Hrotsvitha gains inspiration from Terrence in the library, so she begins to write, and then she's really proud of what she's done, and she has some supporters, and she just is writing a lot about religious material. And then there will be a montage showing how successful she is, and then eventually the end will be her death and her successes afterwards. So this is the lookbook that I've created. We would have very neutral colors, maybe some pops of some reds or some blues, but keeping it very neutral, modest, feel of almost like Game of Thrones. So this is the casting done by Aubrey. So Mara Wilson will play Hrotsvitha, and so her previous roles were Matilda in Matilda, and she was Natalie Hillard in Mrs. Doubtfire, Susan Walker in Miracle on 34th Street. So we think that she would portray the role really well because she is kind and caring, and we think that also Hrotsvitha is as well. Then we will have Morgan Freeman as God. His previous roles were Somerset in Seven, Nelson Mandela in Evictus, Lucius Fox in The Dark Knight. He has a really good voice that will portray God well. And then we have Djimon Hounsou, and his previous roles were Solomon Vandy in Blood Diamond, Karath in Guardians of the Galaxy, Mateo in America. He has experiences with playing historical roles. He is also, Terrence is a Roman African playwright, so we wanted somebody that could embody that, and we think he would do a good job. We would have Idris Elba as Jesus. His previous roles were Monty in Daddy's Little Girls, Derek in Obsessed, Stacker Pentecost in Pacific Rims. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he plays the character Heimdall. Heimdall is the Watchman of Gods, a fierce warrior and protector. Because of this role as Heimdall, I was intrigued by Elba, so we think he would do a good job as Jesus. And then we will have Tom Cruise as the priest. His previous roles are Maverick in Top Gun, Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible series, Jack Reacher in Reacher. Tom Cruise has the capability to be a lead man. A priest is the leading man of the church. With Tom Cruise's energy, I think he will be able to bring the priest to life in very wise ways. And then we'll have her mother and father, Ashley Herbert and John Cusack. Their previous roles, he was Martin Q. Blank in Grosse Pointe Blank, Lori Dobler in Say Anything, and Ashley Herbert was in The Bachelorette. When casting Hrotsvitha as his mother and father, I wanted to choose a duo who had a similar resemblance to the actress portraying Hrotsvitha. I think Mara Wilson, Hrotsvitha's portrayer, favors John Cusack and Ashley Herbert. So Taylor did the costumes and the costume renderings. There's a lot of information on this, but this is what we think that her costumes would look like. So we start with her birth, and we think that she would have a lot of dark gray colors and things. And it would also be cold, so she would have some sort of cloaks or something like that. Terrence, he lived during the Roman Republic and died in Greece, so his attire would be historically accurate to the time period. We can just assume what he would look like and choose the blue and yellow as colors to represent his home of Africa. And then for God, we wanted him to have gold colors, and he would be wearing some sort of robe with gold and deep red velvet colors. And we wanted to show that he was very, very lavish and vibrant. And then we have costume for Jesus. We wanted to use the same colors as God's, and also have a similar style. Continuing on, we have the priest. You can see the drawing right here. And then Hrotsvitha's fathers, we have blacks and reds. And then her mother. They were of high class, so we want to represent them with that in their clothing. So we have some pretty blue colors, and she has more money, so she can afford nicer clothing. So Maria did the locations. For Act 1, we would have, it would be mainly in the town of Bad Gandersheim, which is in Germany. And this is where she will grow up. And then we see her in the church and the library and her home. So something similar to the style of Game of Thrones or The Last Kingdom. Continuing on, we will have it in a church in Lower Saxony, and we would use some of the buildings that they still have. It may not be exact, but we could get a similar style of where she would grow up. And then for Act 3, we would have the library focused, and we will also have some outdoor scenes, so making sure that she's going to be outside a good amount of the film, so we wanted to focus on that as well. So this is our movie poster. This is what we will market. Alfredo did this, and this will be what we present to an audience. So if the show was to be in live theater, we would have a scene breakdown like this in the program. And so our intended audiences would be ages 13 to 75. And so it would be inspiring for a younger audience, but also provide interesting historical context, so an older audience might also like this. And here are sources. I also wanted to mention that Echo took inspiration from Tolkien's Saving Mr. Banks, The Theory of Everything, and The Man Who Invented Christmas. So if you want to click on any of the links, you're welcome to. And that's all we have. Thank you so much.